Welcome to Heartache, Health, and Healing. I'm your host, Brenda Munt. I started this podcast to share my journey after losing my husband, and it became a space for exploring how we can all heal, grow, and live more radiant lives. Each episode is filled with insights, stories, and practical tools to help you find light and purpose no matter where you are on your path. This ad is sponsored to you by Glossy. Say goodbye to bloating, digestive issues, and skin woes. Introducing Glossy, a skin and gut routine you can drink. A delicious daily supplement that transforms your skin and gut from the inside out. Science-backed, look and feel amazing. Order at getglossy.com/Brenda Munt or click on the link in the show notes for a discount. Are you looking for everyday essentials that are healthier, safer, and eco-friendly? I work with a wellness company that offers a wide range of products, from natural household cleaners and personal care items to quality supplements and snacks, all delivered right to your door. These products are effective, affordable, and a great way to make small changes toward a healthier lifestyle. For me, it's been about knowing I'm making better choices without spending extra time or money. So if you're curious and want to learn more, I'd love to share how these products could fit into your life as well. So click on the Wellness Online Shopping link in the show notes and let's chat about how to get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here today because we're diving into a conversation that's full of wisdom, experience, and true healing power. My guest today is Dr. Tara Perry, and she brings over 25 years of hands-on experience helping people feel better emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. From first responders and celebrities to teens and families, she's worked with people from all walks of life, helping them shift and heal in ways they didn't think were possible. Dr. Tara is trained in all kinds of healing modalities. She's a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, a certified Rapid Transformational Therapy therapist, and she's studied with some of the biggest names in the world of wellness and personal development. She understands what it's like to feel stuck or overwhelmed, and her work is all about helping people move through that with more ease, clarity, and compassion. And I think you're going to get so much out of this conversation, whether you're just starting your healing journey or you're looking for deeper tools to support your growth. So let's get started. I'm excited for this conversation. Dr. Tara, thank you so much for being here with me today. So happy to have you here.
Brenda, thanks for inviting me. It's great to be here with you.
Absolutely. So can you take us back to the beginning? It's like, what first led you to the world of healing and wellness?
Oh, wow. Okay, well,
Is that an overloaded question?
I was lucky. My dad was on the board of the Price Pottenger Foundation, which is one of the oldest nutritional foundations in the world. And
Okay.
so I was really familiar with how just, treating your body better could make a huge difference. There's this great story. He had a friend who was very wealthy in a New York hospital, and had four of the top doctors. I mean, this guy had multiple millions of dollars, and he had four of the best doctors taking stabs at his liver and all these horrible tests. And so he calls up my dad in sheer desperation and says, I'm in the hospital and they're doing all this stuff to me. I'm jaundiced, meaning my skin is yellow. And, my dad is not a physician, but he just knew a lot about natural medicine and read a lot. And so he said, well, I don't know. He says, were you taking any drugs before this started? And the guy said, well, yeah, I was taking blah, blah, blah. And my father, this was way pre-internet. Now you can Google all this stuff and get all these answers right away. He pulled the physician's desk reference off of his bookshelf because, he thought that was a necessary thing to have, and opened it up. And the side effects for this drug that he was taking was blah, 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 was jaundice. And so he told my friend this, and his friend got furious and said, why are four of the top doctors in New York City not told me this? What do I do? And he says, well, it interferes with the gut microbiome. Why don't you, try taking some, good yogurt and replenish that So anyway, this guy checks himself out of the hospital, eats some yogurt, and the jaundice goes away.
Oh my gosh.
I sort of realized early on, okay, a quote unquote modern medicine doesn't always have the answers, especially when you're not considering all the natural remedies that are available. So I think it's really important for people to be their own advocates, to be knowledgeable, and to seek answers that might be more benign to the body than a lot of harmful chemicals and stuff. I mean, obviously, those decisions are personal, and we need to seek our professionals where and how we seek them. But there are sometimes tools that are available that are not easily found within mainstream medicine.
So now you handle different ways. So like I said, you were trained in many different things. So,
Well,
so how?
I should fast forward from childhood because there is more.
Okay. Go ahead. Have at her.
Uh, I ended up graduating from college and went to work in the entertainment business at one of the top talent agencies in Hollywood. It was
Hmm.
the number one actually, and everybody wanted to be there. I mean, it was the center of the world. And after 2 years, I realized, okay, I don't think I want this as my career path. I found it to be a very cutthroat business,
Okay.
and I didn't see a lot of happy people in it. And I got very enamored with my homeopath, who was helping people live better quality lives quickly. And
Hmm.
I called him up one weekend and I said, "What would I do if I want to do what you do?" Because I was really impressed with what he did with me and other people. And when he told me, it's like the lights went on and God parted the clouds and said, "Okay, this is what you're going to go do." So I started acupuncture school because that was one of the
Okay.
ways licensed to practice medicine in the state of California. Ended up going to China for a year and studying at one of the top five traditional Chinese medical hospitals. And then came back and practiced that in Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, and Belmont Shore for the next 23 years. I was the
Okay.
first acupuncture teacher at the Arthur Ashe Center at UCLA, which was a tremendous honor and a wonderful opportunity. It was the first time any UC school ever made that brand of medicine available to its student body as medical care, and it was a huge success, and I believe is still going on today.
Okay. Awesome.
And then, yeah, and then when I found out how powerful the mind is for healing, I got very, very enamored with that because I found that people who were struggling with, gosh, addiction issues of all kinds, alcohol, sugar, harder drugs, trauma issues, people who had become allergic to all but five foods, mast cell inflammation, chronic debilitating daily seizures, chronic debilitating panic attacks, just all this stuff was so assisted rapidly by going into the subconscious mind and finding out, okay, what's going on there, uh,
Hmm.
and rewriting those programs. So that's been my love and what I've been focused on for the last many years.
Awesome. So how many trying to use the correct terminology here. So when people come across like so many ailments, so how much of that do you think plays into all the stuff that's happening like at the core, whether it be the mindset or whether it be stress or whether it be some type of trauma?
Yeah, so I like to ask people. I do consultations with people for half an hour to see if they're a good fit, and I love to ask them, what are three feelings that you would give anything to not feel anymore?
Hmm.
Because if you're in some form of fight or flight, the body isn't your resources aren't available for healing. You don't have your immune system shuts down, your hormonal system shuts down, your digestive system shuts down because your body thinks there's an emergency. It's like having the fire alarm go off in your house all the time. You wouldn't be able to sleep,
Yeah.
function. You'd start to go numb. And it wouldn't give you any information because, there's no fire.
Hmm.
So, most people are familiar with fight or flight, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Fawning is
Yep.
my people pleasers. That's a big problem. I mean, people pleasing is a trauma response. And if you're chronically trying to make sure everybody, is thinking well of you, and you're not taking care of yourself, then that's a problem, and it's a problem for your health, your emotional self, your physical self, your, your whole being. So I've just found that when people answer those three questions, I like to ask them, okay, where is it in your body? How large is it? What color is it? Is it hot?
Mm-hmm.
Cold? And people always say, oh, those are really interesting questions. I've never thought about that before. And then I like to say, how long has it been there? And often it'll be like, well, it's been there my whole life. And again, if you're in that state of fight or flight to whatever degree, and a lot of this is subconscious, so people don't even realize they're going around in a fight or flight state.
Yeah.
It could be just hypervigilance, like you're constantly on the lookout for, the next shoe to drop, or, what's going to go wrong today, or you're not breathing in a relaxed, calm way. You're not waking up
Mm-hmm.
with joy in your heart and going, okay, well, what's this day going to bring? Or, you're waking up going, oh my God, how am I going to get through this day? And, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. So now you've worked with a variety of people, I mean, like from Olympians to first responders and then just teens and families. So what do you think it is that draws people to your work?
they want to solve a problem. Uh, and I work with people out of an 8, 9, or a 10 need to change and an 8, 9, or a 10 commitment to change because you
Okay.
probably heard this before. The mind prefers a familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven. That's because that reptilian part of the brain, that part of the survival part of the brain, defaults to what's familiar. And even if
Mm-hmm.
what's familiar is horrible, if what's familiar is stressful and it's anxiety ridden and it doesn't let you sleep at night, people will default to that because it's familiar. Our nervous system, the cells in our body, they did this experiment with rats, and I hate animal experiments. I'd like to get to the point where they have to sign the consent forms before they have to go through these things. But they exposed them to a cherry blossom smell and an electrical shock. And
Okay.
as expected, it didn't take long before the cherry blossom would make their nervous system stress out as if they were receiving a shock. That's just Pavlovian. But what was a surprise was that the second generation and the next generation, it took 3 generations for that effect to go away.
Oh,
So
wow.
we can all imagine how much stress we're carrying around that isn't even ours. It could be our parents,
Mm-hmm.
our grandparents, grandparents. So what's beautiful about working with the subconscious mind is it's not logical. You're just working with the feelings. And when I've worked with many people who had their stress baked into their nervous system as babies or toddlers or even back in the womb, and it's you can go through decades of therapy or eons of therapy and never get to that with your conscious mind. But when you're in a relaxed state and then all of a sudden the brain waves are slowed down and you have better access to your subconscious mind, you can actually talk to the subconscious and find out, oh, what is that? What does it need? Why did it get installed? How is it
Yeah.
trying to protect you? But it does it it's not a really linear, logical way, which is why I have so many people that have been through decades of therapy and did not get what they were looking for because
Mm-hmm.
many of them are just experiencing pushing it around in their conscious mind. And some of them get worse. I had one gal with horrible medical anxiety that was going from doctor to doctor all the time. She wasn't sleeping, she wasn't spending time with her friends. She said the anxiety was really, really bad. Therapy made her worse.
Mm-hmm.
She cried in her first session because she knew that this was different. And when she came in for her third session, she said, look, my anxiety is gone. I know it's not coming back. I'm getting married. I'm busy. See you later. So the interview with her is on my YouTube channel. There's a playlist that
Okay.
people that I've worked with. And I think that's at taragraceperry.com. Or no, sorry, at Dr. Tara Grace Perry on YouTube.
Okay. Okay. So do you think there's a lot of people that I mean, I know what my thoughts are on this, but do you think there's a lot of people that don't even realize, I mean, how much the whole generational trauma thing and then how much that we're carrying around that we don't even realize that make us who we are?
Yeah, a lot of people feel that a lot of trauma is subconscious, which is below the level of your consciousness. How do you deal with it if it's below the level of your consciousness? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's multi-generational and pre-verbal. So again, when you're trying to solve it with just logical words, it just doesn't get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what does true healing mean to you? I mean, so not just the physical part of it, but just the emotional and the mental as well.
Well, again, I get people all the time that have been struggling with a problem for a long time. And again, I'm dealing with what is the feeling that you're rubbing up against all the time. It could be unworthiness, it could be stress, it could be anxiety, it could be um, anger, could be grief, could be shame. Shame is a big one. Anxiety is probably the number one thing that people have when they reach out to me and say, "Look, I want to feel better. I want to function better. I want my immune system to be, I want my body to be healing the way, it can be if it's in its healthiest state." Um, so, many people have been through trauma as a baby or as a toddler or even in the womb, and so that's really hard to get to if you don't connect with the subconscious mind. Often people say that they're running up against invisible walls, that they have invisible hooks in them, that they just can't get their thoughts and feelings around the issue. One gal I worked with was attacked by a Rottweiler. She went through 6 jaw surgeries, was living in pain and fear of losing more teeth. Her husband contacted me and said, "Can you help her?" She had developed a choking disorder. Every time she ate, she was at risk of going to the hospital. And
Dang.
in the first session, she knew this was the answer. And after the 3 sessions, no more visits to the ER, no more surgeries, no more teeth lost. So the effects can be really profound. I used it on my mother when she was walking down the street. She's a wonderfully healthy woman, thank God. At age 89, this was 3 years ago now, she hit a bike rack and dropped her to her knees. She smashed her kneecap into 13 pieces. When she was out of surgery, I said, "Mom, take a picture of yourself. I know you look and feel terrible, but that's going to be the before picture." I said, "You're going to be the fastest healing case on record." And I made her one audio to speed heal the patella, and I made her another audio to convince the muscles they were working out, even though they were immobilized, because that's the thing that can be the kiss of death for an older person. They get muscle atrophy, and then as soon as the cast comes off, they fall again, and that can be definitely a life-ending injury. So she was able to go up and down stairs in just 3 months and up and down ladders at age 89
Wow.
later.
Wow. So when you start working with somebody, how, because you train in so many different things. So when you first start working with somebody, once you have your consult with them, how do you determine what modality to use?
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? I guess I'm kind of intuitive at this point. I have
Okay.
sort of standard things that I do, but then I vary it from person to person depending on what their needs are. Um, I love to say we stand on the shoulders of giants. There's wonderful people out there, and some of these people are magicians. I just trained with Richard Bandler, who was the developer of NLP. He trained
Ooh,
Tony Robbins, and he has a remarkable repertoire of skills. I watched a video of him curing a schizophrenic in an hour. This was somebody that was in
wow.
institution everybody had given up on, and the power of the mind in my opinion is profound. And the placebo effect has been around forever. It is the gold standard by which medicines are compared to, but the placebo by itself, just the belief that a sugar pill is going to work for you, has an outstanding success record.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the great thing about that is there's no side effects that are negative. So we should be exploiting, and I mean that in the positive sense of the word. There's a very clever acupuncturist who uh, was on staff at Harvard. I don't know if he still is, but he created a placebo experiment that was very, very clever because he wanted to see, okay, if we gave people a placebo and we told them it was a placebo and all the medical benefits that come from a placebo, because there's, endless studies that prove that, what would be the effects? And guess what? They still had positive effects. I love to say the bad news. People say, "Well, I can't be hypnotized," or "Can I be hypnotized?" Or the bad news is you're already hypnotized. The good news is you can rewrite the program.
So now, so do you do NLP on people?
I'll incorporate it in my work
Okay.
if it works. Yeah, because NLP it's just neuro linguistic programming. It's language to change your neurology. And I mean, we're unconsciously using it anyway. So
Hmm.
why not use it consciously so that instead of creating a more negative life experience for us and a more disempowered life experience for us, we're creating a more empowered life experience for us?
So if somebody were to come to you with, and I'm asking this selfishly, so that has dealt with grief and a fair amount of it over a short, what kind of seems like a short period of time. What is one thing that you would help them to kind of start shifting out of that? Not really out of it, but just to kind of move forward from it.
So in the consult, and I call it my GPS consult, we want to get a really clear idea of where you are. You know, what does the grief feel like in your body? What triggers it? What makes it feel better? How big is it? You know, what temperature is it? What color is it? And then I literally have a magic wand in the other room. I wave my magic wand and I say, okay, if you could feel one, two, or three feelings consistently, what would those feelings be? So that's, you know, if you call up a travel agent, you want to go from, you know, one place to another, the travel agent's going to ask you, well, where are you and where would you like to go?
Hmm. Hmm.
Answer those questions, you know, you don't have the beginning of your map from, you know, where you are to where you want to go. So I call it my GPS map meeting so that I can determine for you where you are and where you want to go. And then again, the subconscious mind doesn't speak in linear language, so people that I'm working with get a practice audio. There's a little trick to help get you into rapid eye movement. It's just looking up with your eyeballs, taking a few breaths, and then on the third breath, as you're still looking up, the eyelids gently drop down. And again, that's just a nice, easy way to facilitate going into rapid eye movement. And then when you're having that conversation with the subconscious mind, it's kind of like, I like to say it's like you're sitting in a movie theater. You might see things, you might remember things, you might just have sensations in your body. There are no wrong answers.
Hmm.
Do that several times, we get a pattern becomes clear, and then we can get that GPS coordinates for you specifically from where you are to where you want to go. And after the 2 hour session, I give you a customized audio recording that you listen to each and every night as you drift off to sleep to get you from where you are to where you want to go. Because they've proven over and over
Okay.
how neuroplastic the brain is. Literally, if you just do a complicated little uh, movement with your fingers on your face, you develop, you know, tens of thousands of new neural pathways in a matter of minutes. So we know that the brain is very capable of changing, but it needs a map so that it can stop doing the old thing,
Hmm.
which it thinks it's doing to protect you, and get you to a new, more functional way of being. To your point, as far as grief, I have had a number of women reach out to me who lost their partners to suicide often. Um,
Hmm.
you know, some in rather gruesome circumstances, and they have gotten great relief. I would say statistically, I over about 90% of people I work with dump 50 to 100% of the emotion that they don't want to be carrying around anymore.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible.
So
Yeah.
the outcomes for that is better health because again, you freed up emotional and energetic resources that weren't available to you. And that's not
Hmm.
wrong. That's just you only have so much energy to get through your day. If your body believes that it's running for its life or hiding for its life or making amends with others to save its life, you don't have that energy available to heal and to have a better life experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you help someone start to shift out of that survival mode and into feeling like themselves again?
Gosh, if I could explain that in less than 1,000 hours.
Oh.
I'm working. Literally, I have spent so many thousands of hours looking at how this, you know, framework works and that framework works and these frameworks works and the subconscious just has a way of working and part of its leverage. It's like I always say people are like an iPhone 16 operating on iPhone 4 technology.
Hmm.
Soon as the subconscious mind can see, oh, that old way of being is like holding on to a hot poker. That's dangerous. That hurts me. It'll be willing to drop that in favor of something else, but it really needs that clear pathway. And that's why I make that audio so you listen to it each and every night. And you go, oh, okay, that's who I really am. I'm not that old self. I'm not that stressed out person. I'm not that um, beliefs that are common are I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not strong enough, I'm not capable enough, this is overwhelming, relief is available to other people, it's not available to me. So, in my intake form, I have, gosh, probably 10 pages of thought tracks, and people check off, okay, yeah, that's familiar, that's familiar. No, I don't think that one. No, I don't think that one. Yes, that one's very familiar. So we just start to get a handle on what's cooking in that subconscious mind and where it got baked in, what it wants, what it needs, and then it'll be willing to shift. Headaches and migraines are another one that people have had excellent success with. In fact, I don't recall anybody that I've worked with that hasn't gotten good success with that. Unworthiness is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, um, I worked with my podcast manager, which I know you also know, and he realized, and he's an exceptional young man. I mean, he's written two books. He's been on the History Channel. He's run for city council. He's an extraordinary young man. But he realized one day that he was rubbing up against the feeling of unworthiness. So he called me up and he says, "Tara, I want to be your next client. You know, I want this gone yesterday." And in his after his first session, he started sleeping better than he had ever slept in his life. He didn't come to me for sleep. Actually, that's another really common outcome that people get. Some people just see me because they haven't gotten a good night's sleep forever. One woman hadn't slept well for 7 years. She only got 3 to 4 hours a night. She had gone through regular sleep therapy. It didn't do anything for her. And she, after 3 sessions, says, I don't know how you did this. You never even mentioned sleep in the process. I didn't have to. I just eliminated the emotions that were preventing her from sleeping in the first place. And as an added bonus, she had never experienced bliss in her entire lifetime. She said it had never even been part of her vocabulary. And so
Mm-hmm.
that she gets to experience that. Back to my podcast manager. So he started sleeping better. He started losing the extra weight that he was carrying around because holding on to weight is often a defense mechanism. The cortisol levels are high. We tend to pack on extra weight.
Yeah.
Because he ended up feeling his own worthiness, he made an extra $50,000 in his first 90 days.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Actually, that happens a lot with business people. Business people find that if they have a block, I love working with high performers because they've already got skill sets that are already in place, and the little bit of fine tuning just allows them to catapult to much higher levels. One woman I worked with is an amazing oral surgeon, and she said, I just don't feel comfortable asking for money. I don't know what the problem is. That is a problem when you've spent tons of money and on equipment, on training, and you're not asking for what you're worth. That's a problem.
Yeah.
We went back, and sometimes it's the stupidest things. She was doing homework when she was younger. Her sister's even smarter than she is. And her father said something that was unkind, and she interpreted it as, oh, I'm not worthy. And so she carried that around her entire adult life until we worked together. And we just went back and rewired it. And I called her up 2 months later. I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And she says, "Oh my God, I go home with more energy. I'm a better wife. I'm a better parent." I said, "Dollar wise, what's it worth to you to be able to ask for what you're worth?" She says, "About an extra $10,000 a month."
Dang. Oh,
Gallerist in Switzerland. I met her at an advanced Dr. Joe retreat, and she said, "Tara, I don't know what the problem is. I just can't ask for money for art." She says, "When I was a lawyer, I didn't have any problem asking for money, but I can't ask money for art. I don't know what the problem is." So we just went back, went to the root, the origin, the beginning of that problem, and rewired it. And she says it's something she would never have expected. That happens a lot. People start remembering, oh gosh, I never would have thought that was connected to this because it's subconscious. So we rewired it.
yeah.
Now she sells paintings for $30,000 and $40,000 and has a great time.
Wow, that is incredible. I love hearing stories like that. It's just wild. Just I mean how when to kind of once you're willing to do the hard work,
Yeah.
and then just realize that there's something blocking you, and it's just like you need to go outside of yourself to try and help go to somebody like you to help figure it out what's happening.
And I love to say to people, look, if your conscious mind could have figured this out already, it would have done it already.
Right? Yeah. Because I mean, I know I had worked with somebody that I just stuff that came up that I didn't even realize that was an issue, and I'm like, what? I'm like, really? And yeah, so being able to figure stuff like that out is just incredible. But granted, I still think there's a lot back there that is like blocking me and stopping me from doing certain things, but so still need to work through all that.
Well, I'm more than happy to set up a private time to talk.
We might have to do that. um, I would like to touch a little bit because some people might not be familiar with rapid transformational therapy. So for people that never heard of it, aren't familiar with it, can you just talk a little bit about that and how it helps people?
So that's one of the modalities that I trained in. I trained personally with Marissa Peer. She won the Best Therapist of Britain award. And she's a remarkable woman and has definitely tapped into tools for how the subconscious mind works. I've also trained Paul McKenna, who's another one of the leading hypnotherapists on the planet. Dr. Richard Bandler, who is arguably the top hypnotist on the planet. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he's crazy brilliant. Um, and let's see, I've done hundreds of hours of Joe Dispenza's work. I went to 10 of his live events. I think he's done a remarkable job of showing what happens in the body when you get yourself in heart and brain coherence. In fact, I just interviewed the former CEO of Heart Math. The Heart
Oh,
Math they have technology that actually measures heart and brain coherence. I love it when I get people that have Aura rings and Fitbits and things like that because they can see how much better their sleep gets quickly.
wow.
But the more you are in heart and brain coherence, the less stress you're experiencing, the more healing you can experience, the more insight you have, the more you have access to your mid prefrontal cortex, which is your higher executive functioning. So you're able to just function better. You're able to make better decisions. Another outcome that people often get is a lot of people come to me who don't have good boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing things for other people, they don't take care of themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
after doing my process, they
But
work.
your sound is going out.
Hmm. Can you hear me now?
Okay, now it's better.
I hear a humming in the background. I don't know what that is.
Oh, my neighbor's cutting his grass.
Oh, okay. Um, so yeah, boundary issues are a thing. And actually, I had one client report to me about a month ago. He says, "Tara, I feel like a virus has just been wiped off of my hard drive."
Oh, wow. Uh, so we touched on this briefly before. So do you believe that the physical symptoms often have those emotional roots?
Great question. So having had a background, where I had a physical practice taking care of people. I think nutrition is very important. I think spending time in nature is important. I think having social connection is important. There's a lot of pieces to the pie when it comes to being healthy. But if you've tried everything and you feel like there's just something that you haven't been able to get a grip on, figure out, make sense of, then yes, I think going to the subconscious. Well, I don't really think there's anybody that can't benefit from going to the subconscious mind because we all have so much data floating around in our subconscious mind, and not all of it is there working on our behalf. It's working against us. Not
Mm-hmm.
because we're bad people or because the world is bad or our parents were bad. I mean, raise your hand if you had perfect parents. No hands go up. And that's not fault. It's just none of us are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something as stupid as, your parent saying something to you that was inappropriate. Or one gal I had was phobic for snakes. If a snake showed up on her, and I didn't realize how common this was. But if a snake showed up on her cell phone, she'd hurl her phone across the room. If she couldn't spend time in nature, she couldn't go hiking with her family or spend time in nature because she'd be afraid of a snake. And it was the stupidest thing. When she was a child, I don't know, grammar school, there was an assembly and they had this boa constrictor there, and each of the kids had to go just touch the snake before they left the assembly, just to feel what a snake felt like. And she was so terrified, she escaped out the back, never touched the snake. But in her mind, this became this big, horrible thing in her brain. Richard Bandler is very famous for saying the map is not the territory. Imagine if
Okay.
you a map of California. Is that the same as California? No, it's a map. But to our brains, the map is real. It's what our brain has to represent the world. We couldn't process the world with all of its information. There's too much information out there.
Mm-hmm.
So our brain has to delete, distort, and generalize in order to get through life. But it doesn't do a very good job, especially if we're a traumatized, scared little kid that's just trying to survive. And when I
Mm-hmm.
say survive, that might be just be accepted by the kids at school. It might be getting your parents' approval that day. It might be, wearing the right clothes and not being laughed at. I don't know. The good news is I don't have to figure it out, and you don't have to figure it out. We just Google the subconscious mind, get you in that nice, relaxed state, and the answers just bubble up. Again, like you're sitting in a movie theater. You might remember things, you might see things, you might just feel things in your body. There are no wrong answers. One thing I haven't conveyed, which I usually do earlier in the conversation than this, your subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits of information per second. Your con
What?
your conscious mind is only processing 40 bits of information per second. That's like listening to three people have a conversation. So if your conscious mind, that part of you that wants you to be strong, wants you to be healthy, wants you to be calm, wants to go in one direction, but the other part wants you to go in another direction because it thinks it's in danger, who's going to win that?
Wow. That is wild.
So it's like a rider on an elephant. In order to go where you want to go, you got to get that elephant to want to go where you want to go.
Yeah.
And the
Oh.
reason affirmations tend to not work for people is, you can say them all day long. It's like having a fish tank, and you put all these little fish in there that are beautiful, and you want them to grow into big fish, except there's a big fish in there that eats up all the little fish before they get big enough. That's your
Mm-hmm.
subconscious mind with the programming that says, I'm not good enough. Relief is available to other people, but not to me. Um, I'm not worthy, whatever the story is.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that I didn't realize the numbers on that. Holy cats. Ah. Without naming any names, is there a powerful transformation story that you could share with us? Something that really moved you?
Oh gosh, they all move me. I feel like I get to let people out of prison for a living, and when I see that, it just, I mean, just last week I was assessing how far somebody had come, and they dumped, I think, 100% of their fear, 80% of their shame, and um, 100% of their anxiety. To witness how somebody gets to live their life having dumped all that stuff is really gratifying. Um,
Wow.
the woman with the rock. I saw another. Okay, I worked with another woman who saw her husband catch on fire. He's fine. He's fine, but it ignited babesia, mast cell inflammation, Lyme's disease. She became allergic to all but five foods, and I think one of them was olive oil, another was salt. And her husband said, Look, I don't know what else to do with you. She was doing acupuncture twice a week, neurofeedback, biofeedback, and was still suffering. And her husband said, Look, you either have to go to a mental institution or I have to take you to see Tara because I don't know what else to do with you. And fortunately, she came here. In her first session, she was able to experience more peace than she had felt in her entire lifetime. After three sessions, she was able to drop most of those doctor's visits. And I just got a card from them, I want to say about 3 months ago. They had just had their first baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. That is so awesome. Yeah, I can only imagine how amazing that feels to you knowing that you've helped someone at such a deep, deep level like that.
Yeah. And sleep is another huge thing. Some people, their lives are not functional because our brains have got to remove a quarter ounce of toxic material every night. They knew about the lymphatic system years ago, but it was only about the last 15 years that they discovered the glymphatic system. And you need that peaceful sleep. That's why PTSD is so horrible for so many vets because they don't get that restful sleep, and it's just mind-numbing for them.
Yeah, I
Oh, here's another one. I worked with a military veteran who was gifted my program from an aunt of his, And he had been through the military process for PTSD. He was still having panic attacks, still couldn't focus. He was doing a lot of college work at the time to, recreate a new career for himself, and that was a big problem. So after 2 sessions, he looked at me and he said, "It can't be this easy." He says, "I'm not having my panic attacks anymore. I'm able to focus. Why don't other people know about this?" To, to that end, I will say, when people do ask, why doesn't my doctor know about this? Dr. David Perlmutter, who teaches doctors all over the world, says it takes 18 years for good information to get into mainstream medicine. He wrote Grain Brain and Drop Acid, not the LSD type acid, but uric acid in the body, because the higher your uric acid is, the more it's linked to cause of death.
Okay. Well, I got to circle back on something. So I know when you were talking about the sleep part of it, because and probably me continuing to, me saying it way too often probably does not help my situation any. But I mean, I feel like I'm a bad sleeper, and it doesn't take for much for me to wait. I typically don't have an issue falling asleep. There are times if there's something, depending upon what's going on in life, where I can't shut my brain down, and then I'll have an issue falling asleep. But typically, otherwise, I don't. Usually, because I'm like so exhausted because I'm so tired. But it's the staying asleep and actually waking up feeling rested.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And, if the brain doesn't have the signal that it's safe and it's okay to just drift off and get regenerated, then the brain just has a tendency to kick on and, not turn off. So
Yeah,
that's a story I hear rather frequently.
yeah, yeah. Because it's like if I get too hot, I wake up. If I get too cold, I wake up. It's just like any little thing, and I'm like constantly waking up. It's like ah.
Well, that is one of the big side effects that people get from this work is a good night's sleep. Uh,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So, what do you see is as one of the biggest blocks that people face when it comes to healing?
I'd say fear is a big one. People are afraid of the unknown, and when
Mm,
working with somebody and I'd love to dispel that fear because people think of Hollywood, they think of Las Vegas when they think of hypnosis. I love to tell people, look, I can't make you think anything you don't want to think or believe anything you don't want to believe. You actually become more aware in a state of hypnosis than you do when you're not. Because you're in a state of habituation that you're on a hamster wheel you don't even know exists.
mm-hmm.
And by having insight to that, by having clarity to that, having tools to shift and change that, you are more empowered, not less empowered.
Yeah. So for somebody that feels like they've tried all the things, and I'm sure you probably heard that already, and they feel that, but they still feel stuck. What would you say to them?
Set up a time and talk to me.
Simple as that.
You know what? If I know of other tools, I throw as many tools at the people I work with as humanly possible. And if you're not, for whatever reason, a good fit for my work, I'm happy to continue to throw those tools at you.
Hmm.
I did have one person, actually, I'll throw this out there because this is I had one person that had horrible insomnia, and I felt awful for this person because he was like suicidal. And I did what I normally do, and this was way earlier. I mean, my toolbox is immensely larger than when I worked with him.
Hmm.
And I gave him Chinese herbs that, were just the bee's knees for helping people sleep. And called me up 6 months later, and he said, um, guess what? Guess what it was that I needed that helped me. This was mind blowing. There's a book by James Nestor called Breathe. And if
Okay.
you're a mouth breather, no bueno for sleep, no bueno for anything. Um,
Hmm.
some people, they have enough airway passage that they can actually tape their mouth shut and force themselves to breathe through their nose. And that will help open up the sinuses enough so that they can get a good night's sleep. That is what he needed.
Wow. And I I really focus on that, especially during the day of not being. I'm typically not a mouth breather, but I mean, I know at night I do because my sinuses do get stuffed up and all that, and then end up breathing through my mouth because I can't breathe through my nose. And the thought of the thought of mouth taping before I go to bed at night, it does create
Yeah,
anxiety for
I,
me.
well, and some people, may not physically, structurally be able to do that. Um,
Hmm.
Probably use a tape that they do make tape now just for that purpose. Um, I don't know the name of the company off the top of my head. Um,
Yeah.
but there are also ways to open up the sinuses with like balloons and things. I'm not recommending that necessarily because I don't know, you'd have to research it on your own. But
Yeah.
having more airflow through the nasal passages is very important.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. So, how would you say that you help somebody rebuild their confidence in themselves when they've just been feeling so overwhelmed for such a long period of time?
That's another great one, and that is another common thing that people want as an outcome. They want to feel confident. So again, I would say, okay, well, when you don't feel confident, what are you feeling? Because I want the exact words that they're feeling. It's
Mm-hmm.
really important. The reason why standard audio tapes tend to not work is it's not your language. Your brain speaks your language. And that's why NLP also has, tools and tricks that are very helpful because it recognizes that. Um, uh, so I lost my train of thought there. Your question was.
So, sorry. That so, how do you help somebody rebuild the confidence in themselves that they've been feeling so
Right.
overwhelmed for
So
such a
what
long
is the
time?
feeling you feel when you don't feel confident? And then where do you feel that in your body? What color
Mm-hmm.
is it? Temperature is it? What triggers it? How long have you had it? Often people will say they've had it for their whole life. And honestly, that's music to my ears because those are the types of things that I just love helping people say goodbye to. So whatever the feeling is that you don't like, that might be insecure, that might be not safe, whatever the opposite of confident is for them, not capable. Then we find, where did that get installed? What's the origin? What's the root? Rewrite that program so that they're able to go, oh, I'm not an iPhone 4. I'm actually an iPhone 16. That's who I am. And then we build
Mm-hmm.
that so that the brain has, its neurological pathway from where it is to where it wants to go. And there's something about customizing that makes it so much more powerful. Where a non-customized thing that you just get off the internet just won't have the same effect.
Yeah, yeah. So I've heard you refer to what color is it? You referred to that multiple times throughout the interview here. So I would. So how do people determine like what color something is?
It's not that every single person is going to have a color. Some people don't have a temperature.
Okay.
We just get as good a description as possible because the more the brain can go, oh, okay, that's the thing that we're hypnosis is really it's directing focus.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's with those brain waves slowed down so that you have better access to your subconscious mind. So it just helps direct the focus.
Okay.
Starts
Okay.
doing it in a non-linear way because that powerful subconscious does not speak in a linear way.
Okay. Because I would think that, like if I would, certain things that I know I've gone through, if I would have to bring a color to it, and obviously the bad things or the the unfortunate things, I would definitely have more of a dark color to it, like whether it be a black or a gray or
That's very
brown or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if somebody's curious about how to work with you, diving deeper and all that, how would they, where would be a good place for them to start?
They can go to consultterra.com. So that ends up with being two T's in the middle there.
Okay.
And just click the Let's Talk button. There's 10 clarity questions so that you can start getting clear about what it is you want to shift and change. And then just set up a time and let's talk for 30 minutes and see if you're a good fit.
And then also you're able to work with people online as well as in person?
Most of the people I work with are online.
Okay.
I've worked with
Okay.
people all over the world. I've had clients in Slovakia and Pakistan and
Oh,
Australia,
wow.
Europe.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. So, are there other ways of connecting with you if somebody just wants to follow what you're doing and all that? Are you on any social media platforms?
I also have a podcast called Next Level Healing. Um,
Okay,
interviewed the epic Richard Bandler, Dr. Richard Bandler, just a few weeks ago. I've interviewed
nice.
Martini. He was in the movie The Secret. He also has a wonderful methodology for helping people. I just interviewed John Templeton. He has his book is forwarded by Dr. John DeMartini, and he's been on the stage with Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra. He's got a book on authenticity coming out in September, which I'm super excited to read. So that's a way to stay in touch. Yeah, if you subscribe and just shoot me a message, a comment, letting me know what you think of the program, that would be great. I am on Instagram at Dr. Tara Perry. Let's see where TikTok
Okay.
and Facebook. Although I don't interact on Facebook too much, but I need to change that. I get to change that because I can. That's a nice little neurological thing. If you find yourself saying, I should do this, I have to do this, I need to do this, stop saying that and try saying, I get to do this because I can, and notice how much different you feel. There's so much power in language. For example, when you say, I can't do something, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing how much negativity people have in and they don't even realize it. So when I'm working with people, I also have a weekly mastermind group. So that's another way to learn about all these tools and to, meet with other like-minded people. But when you say I can't do something, another way of looking at that, because can't is a contraction, it's can not.
Yep.
So you can say I can not do this. And then what does all of a sudden make available to you?
Yeah. Yeah. I
What
know I've
you
been,
what you can do.
yeah. I know, and I've really been, because however long ago it was that I heard that, and I really tried to pay attention to that and change it, using that reframe and be like, no, it's like, I get to do this, not I have to do this.
Yeah. And then if you tag
Yeah.
as I can on the end there, that makes it even more powerful.
Yeah, yeah, definitely love that. But yeah, so all the ways of connecting with you, whether it be on social and into what your podcast and all that, I'll be sure to put all of that in the show notes so everybody has very easy access to it. So I do like to end with a question for my guests. If you were going for a walk outside in a park someplace and somebody happened to come walking towards you and they were drawn to your energy and they came up to you and asked, what is one thing I could do today to start living a more radiant life? How would you answer that question?
Bring the joy. I think we need to have fun.
Yeah.
Richard Bandler likes to start every day with, rather than how am I going to get through this day, say, how much fun am I going to have? How much fun do I get to have today?
Oh,
Because
I like that.
like that, I mean, it's so important because your brain goes and finds the answers to those things.
Yeah. Yeah. When you said bring the joy, it made me think of Brendan Bouchard. So I know
Yes.
he had said to somebody some about because where somebody asked if he was having like a gathering at his house or something, and somebody's like, well, what can I bring? He's like, bring the joy, baby, bring the joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, at the beginning of my Richard Bandler interview, uh, he said something funny, and I said, "Oh, tell us about the role of humor in healing." And he says, "Well, it lights up a whole different part of your brain."
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's hilarious.
It's so awesome.
He's
Oh.
hilarious.
Oh goodness, Tara, I thank you so much for this conversation. I absolutely loved it. I love the work that you're doing. Like I said to you before we started recording, when it comes to anything related to healing, I love absorbing and taking it all in because that's just due to my own path in life right now that is down. I'm just all about that and wanted to learn more and whatnot and to help myself and to help others. So thank you so much for the work that you do. And everybody, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as what I did. And please go follow Tara, go check her out, check out her website if you're interested in working with her. So that's one great thing about the internet is that we are able to connect and work with people literally all over the world. So grateful for that. So everybody, thanks so much for listening. And from my heart to yours, Until next time. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying my podcast, I would love it if you'd follow, leave a 5-star review, or subscribe. And definitely please share with anyone that you think would enjoy my podcast. And I would love to connect with you. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and all the links are in the show notes. And if you'd like to be on my podcast, or if you have any questions for me, or if you have a topic that you'd like me to talk about, please send me a direct message. I enjoy connecting with my followers. Thank you so much for listening.